Greetings, everyone. Hope all of you are having an absolutely fantastic day. Yesterday, we got a ton of impression videos for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and I gotta tell you, they look absolutely fantastic. I'm really excited for this game. Seems like a massive improvement over the original, but there are some aspects of the new footage that kind of give me pause and give me some concern. So I thought it'd be worth making a video going through what I liked and disliked regarding what we know thus far. Let's go ahead and start with the portions that I like. The game clearly looks significantly better than the original. Clothes are way more detailed. You can see the water boiling in pots during alchemy. Weapons glow when you're making them during blacksmithing. The menus look so much better. The color scheme is absolutely fantastic, and the level of detail and organization now and all the different gear you have, super cool. But honestly, what I am most impressed with is the way you can look at faraway vistas now. One of the major complaints that I have with the first game is the way foliage is handled. You can basically come to these paths where foliage will completely block you from moving forward and block your sight. And honestly, there's been a couple of times in this game where I've jumped into a pit of foliage and there was no way around it and no way out, to the point that I had to reload a previous save. I absolutely hate that. It's been so annoying my entire playthrough, but it never occurred to me that Warhol Studios was using the foliage as a way to cut off the view of the player because they couldn't do far away vistas. But apparently that's the case, and now foliage looks so much better in the game, and it's not used to block how far away Henry can look. So now he could just look out over large fields, see something way in the distance, and choose to travel towards it. No question, the graphics are a significantly step up, and in that same vein, the cinematics look incredible. Multiple impressions have shown some of the beginning game cinematics, and they just look amazing. Really seems like they're playing around with the camera work and providing you with angles and styles that weren't really used at all in the first Kingdom Come Deliverance game. The castle siege most especially looks amazing, and I can't wait to watch it in full for myself. Just seems like they went all out and are trying new things. I love it. It's working really well from what we've been able to see thus far. One of Kingdom Come Deliverance's strongest areas was narrative. Right from the start, it pulled you into who Henry is and made you empathetic for him, and really made it enjoyable to play the game in his shoes, even for a player like me who usually prefers to be able to create my own character. It's hard to tell without playing the game for myself, but from the footage we've seen thus far, the narrative looks equally strong in the second game. Looks like a great start. I was concerned about how progression would be handled, considering you're a much stronger warrior by the time Kingdom Come Deliverance ends, but it looks like you're gonna be able to basically choose a couple of options similar to what we did in the first game that provides you with some beginner stats, and you'll start with a rank of 5 in those stats that you have chosen, which to me is a very good trade-off and helps to make you feel like you're starting ahead of the game without also taking away from your own sense of progression throughout the game. So definitely happy about that. And I feel like the reasoning for why Henry isn't top level in all the skills the way it was before works. It's not perfect. Of course, nothing would be perfect, but from what I've seen in the impressions, it absolutely works for me. So I'm not concerned that going from level 20, which is where you could end up in Kingdom Come, to now all of a sudden being back down to 0 or 5 is going to be a huge deal. Speaking of which, I think it's super cool that now all the stats can get up to level 30, and there are significantly more perks, more than 275. So there's a lot of room for growth and for you to create Henry in the exact way that you want to. The reactivity in the game also looks amazing. There's been multiple clips of NPCs reacting when Henry isn't clean, when he's committed crimes, when he's taken other people's clothes. What I'm really looking forward to as well is that it seems like Warhorse has put some real effort into reactivity when you are a criminal or when you're someone who consistently commits criminal acts. You can be put into the pillory, you can be put into jail, you can have your face branded so that everybody knows you're someone who cannot be trusted. I got a feeling that in my live stream, I'm gonna end up with a branded face and it's gonna piss me off, but I absolutely love to see the game put things in like that, which really make the world feel alive and make it feel like the world is actually reacting to what you do. One area that I've been a little bit disappointed in the first game is reactivity when it comes to my character being drunk. I've got bottles upon bottles of moonshine right now, and I've been drinking a lot of them, stumbling around, talking to priests, talking to nobles, and there's been no reactivity to that whatsoever. And so I'm hoping that's an area where the sequel has improved. And if I'm stumbling around drunk and start talking to a noble or someone of authority in the city, hopefully they'll react to me and let me know, hey, you need to get your act together and stop drinking so much booze, but we'll see. One area that this sequel seems to be really concentrating on and expanding is the crafting systems. Of course, alchemy is coming back. How you deal with herbs and herbalism has been expanded, so you can't just pick them and use them. Now, if you pick them, they can go bad, just like food. And so you actually have to dry them out if you want to preserve them. And there are different levels of potions that you could potentially create based upon how closely you follow the instructions. So all of that sounds interesting, really cool. I do have a reservation about it, we'll talk about in a bit. But I am a person who loves watching blacksmithing in movies and television. There's nothing that appeals to me more than some ancient legendary sword being created right before your eyes and you just watch the craftsmanship go into that weapon. So to play as a person who is actually capable of crafting his own weapons, I think is super cool. And the question becomes, are you going to be able to create high-level, top-tier weapons that unquestionably you would use in the end game? Or is there kind of a cap on how good these weapons can be, and Henry is probably going to end up more so using things that he loots out in the field? I'm hoping that you are able to craft really incredible gear and that I can walk around all the time basically in stuff that I've made myself. I think that would just be absolutely amazing, super cool to be able to do. All that being said, while there are absolutely a ton of things I really like about the footage, there are definitely some reservations that I have that make me question whether or not I'll end up enjoying the final product. So let's go ahead and walk through it. First and foremost, for those of you who didn't follow Kingmaker when it first came out, it had a very buggy launch. Now, I know there's a lot of Outcat fans in my channel, so I'm gonna say I don't feel like it was Kingmaker bad or Cyberpunk bad, but it was definitely bad. And there was a lot of people who paid full price who felt like they didn't get their money's worth and that the game should have been significantly more stable than it was. So it remains to be seen if Warhorse is capable of releasing a stable game right up front. Now, these impressions that came out are all from the first 20 hours of the game. And if you've been playing games for a while, you know how this rodeo goes. A developer will allow the upfront sections to be played because those are the ones where the most bugs have been ironed out, and those are the most stable sections. And so they'll let content creators play those sections, say positive things about the game and about its stability, and then when you get the final full product, all of a sudden it becomes clear that the back-end section is significantly worse. And that's the concern that I have with this game, especially since the second half of the game is on a completely different map. So it feels like it's a completely different section of the game and could potentially be a completely different experience. And again, the people who did these impressions did not have any exposure to those areas at all. Now, keep in mind, Warhorse Studios has already started releasing review codes to creators. So there are a ton of people a couple of weeks before the game is even going to come out who already have access to it and will be able to craft their reviews in plenty of time, which of course speaks greatly to how much confidence they have in the game. But we could easily be in a situation headed towards another Baldur's Gate 3 where the first two sections were very well polished, but the last section heavily buggy, and a lot of people were disappointed in that content at launch. Again, keep in mind, BG3 was still an amazing game, so KCD2 could release in a buggy state, but at the end of the day, still end up being amazing. Another reservation I have is the save system. It's already been confirmed that once again, Kingdom Come Deliverance is going to have a save system where you're going to have to drink alcohol or sleep in order to be able to save your game. Now, supposedly there are more autosaves in the new game compared to the original one, and the impressions that I watched all kind of said they felt like the save system was much more acceptable this time and that they found it much easier to use. But my issue is I kind of feel like all of those creators adapted to the original save system, right? I remember their thoughts on the original game, and I don't believe any of them said, hey, I modded the save system out. You know, all of them kind of just adapted. So to me, I take that wording with a grain of salt, because I'm the type of person, I hate it when developers play around with the save system. Just let me save when I want to, as many times as I want to. Point blank, period. I have never played a game that dicked around with the save system where I felt like, man, this makes the game so much better. You know, I'm so glad that I can't save when I want to. I've never felt that way, and I certainly did not feel that way in Kingdom Come Deliverance. And so it becomes a concern for me about whether or not the save system is once again going to be an issue in the sequel. There was at least one impressions video that talked about he lost around 50 minutes of playing time because he got killed during a fight, and the last autosave was from that far back. That would do so much to damage my experience. There's a whole lot of things I'm willing to tolerate, but losing progress because of a save system is just not one of them. Absolutely not one of them. And in that same vein, while I absolutely love Kingdom Come Deliverance, I'm having a great time with it. I'm hoping to review it before this sequel comes out, and if so, I'm certainly going to be high in many areas. One of the areas that I do feel like the game falters is that it's way too willing to waste the player's time doing something that either isn't fun or doesn't really add to the experience, and just causes frustration that isn't really about getting better or building up your skills. And the save system is definitely an area that I feel that way. Alchemy is also an area that I feel that way. The first maybe 10 times you do alchemy, it's super cool. Like, man, I've got to read this book and get these exact ingredients and all that kind of stuff. Not bad at all. Definitely enjoy it. Definitely see all the love and work they put into it. Definitely comes off as a very realistic process. And so all that is super cool. But you have to get up to level 10 before you can start auto brewing potions. And the amount of time it takes to reach that perk is just abhorrent. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I actually had to spend hours off stream building my skill up to that point because I knew it'd be boring as hell for my community to have to watch me make these potions over and over and over again. And my fear is that they're going to lean right back into that with the alchemy skill for the sequel. And to a lesser degree, it might end up being that way with blacksmithing as well. I certainly hope not, but when I look at it, when I saw Wolfheart brewing them potions, I'm like, yeah, this brings back memories of me doing the same thing over and over again in a very monotonous fashion. I don't think it really helps. There are some other ways the original game kind of wastes your time that I'll talk about in my review. but it's definitely a concern for me that the sequel is going to bring some of this stuff back that doesn't really add to your enjoyment of the game. A lot of other ways where you have to slowly build yourself up, I'm totally good with. Combat being difficult, actually having to pick all the herbs that you want to use, all that kind of stuff. Hey, whatever, I'm all for it. But make these systems things that I do in the course of the game, not a task that I have to complete monotonously over and over and over again for no real reason. To me, that's just wasting the player's time. Another issue that I have with this game is stilted faces. So in the cinematics, the faces look amazing. They've got a full range of animations and emotions. You don't have to wonder how a particular character is feeling. You could just look at their face and tell. All of it is absolutely fantastic. But then you have what are the vast majority of the conversations where one character is standing looking at Henry, and then Henry's looking right back at him, and the camera just switches back and forth between them. In those situations, the faces are much more stilted. There are virtually no animations, and they're kind of just staring at each other while speaking. And I'm going to be honest with you, when I saw these sequences, it reminded me strongly of Veilguard. One of the things I brought up in my Veilguard review is I felt like the faces never really moved. There wasn't enough animations. It kept using this weird half smile when you would talk with characters, and it was very, very annoying. It made conversations feel unrealistic. Now, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, from what I've seen, has better voice acting, and it seems to be written better. Certainly the first game was written better as well. And so I would probably still enjoy these conversations more, but I do find the lack of facial animations in these interactions to be concerning. And I hope it's not indicative of what a large portion of the conversations are going to be like in the game. And then the last concern I have regarding this game is, can Warhorse tell a complete story? So I'm in the middle of my live stream of Kingdom Come Deliverance right now. But of course, a bunch of people have been reaching out to me about the game. They've revealed stuff, spoiled stuff, talked about the game, etc., etc. And one of the things that has been really, really hammered home is that there are a lot of people who played through this entire game and felt like it didn't tell a complete story, that it basically came off as a prequel and not a full game in and of itself. In large part because there are major story threads that are started in the beginning of the game and they're not wrapped up, they're not completed. And instead, players have had to wait until Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 has come out in order to finally address some of those issues and allow Henry to get his actual revenge. And so there are some people who love the ending, who speak very highly of the story overall, but there are definitely a lot of people who feel like, again, Kingdom Come Deliverance is basically half a game or less than a full game. And you pretty much have to combine it with this sequel in order to get a complete experience. Now, keep in mind, there's a bunch of reasons for that, right? It was a Kickstarter game. Warhorse had limited resources. The type of game they wanted to do to fully flesh out the story, they just didn't have the resources in order to be able to do it. So it's not negligence. It's not that, hey, we're just going to screw over the fans and give them something slipshod. There are very good reasons why this game had to be split up the way that it was. But the fact remains that Kingdom Come Deliverance is Warhorse's only game. And so this sequel will hopefully be their first time trying to deliver a full campaign for players. And it remains to be seen if that's something they're actually capable of doing. Hopefully that'll be the case. We won't know for another couple of weeks. And that's the video. Those are my thoughts regarding the impressions that we have thus far for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Once again, very excited about the game. Absolutely plan to play it. Definitely feel like I'm going to enjoy it. We'll see where it ranks in the hierarchy of all the great games, but I feel like for 2025, this is a game we're going to be talking about at the end of the year in regards to what award is it going to win. Let me know down in the comments. What are your thoughts? Do you plan to play this? Is there any particular content that you want to see regarding the game? Looking forward to your feedback, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.